almost ready. Almost ready. Almost ready. There we go. All right. Now we just gotta wait for people to show up. Ooh. It's the old 7th. It's the same 7th that's been here for weeks, sir. Hi, Ben. How's it going, Ben? What do you mean it's the old 7th? I've been the old 7th for at least 10 years, ever since I hit 40. I had to take a sip from my glass goblet. I know it's technically a mug, but I call it a goblet. Hello, Ultra Steel. You fair weather friend, you. Arthritis is no joke, my friends. It's starting to affect my gaming, too. You know. 8th. Bless you. 8th. He marathoned Astrobot in one night. I play it for more than 3 hours, and my joints start to hurt because of the vibrations from the controller. My joints can't take it for that long, and I have to put it down. I start making bad mistakes. I start getting angry and frustrated and start cursing at the game when it's really the vibration messing with my fingers, and I have to turn it off. It sucks. But then again, you know, when I played 3D platformers back in the day, the thing didn't constantly vibrate for everything. That's the one thing I don't like about Astrobot. Even when he's walking, the controller vibrates to his footsteps. So through the whole game, it's irritating. But you can't turn it off for that game, because without it, there's certain things you wouldn't be able to do. I know you could turn it down, but that kind of defeat the purpose with that game. No, that's just a old wives' tale, Ultra Steel. To be honest, man, I don't know why it's a PS5 NO, because to be honest, if you build a PC with a 4070 based edition, it's like $1,500 easy. Because I don't support all digital, mainly. I think they should have included the drive. I think that's just enough. You know, in any other generation, by now, the baseline model would be selling for $200 cheaper than when it launched. Not this gen, though. No, they're increasing the price in some places, increasing the price of the controllers. And now the Pro don't come with a drive unless you shell out another $100. No, I'm skipping this one. For right now, anyway. I'm not buying it at launch. And here's the main reason why. Because there ain't shit out that supports it. I mean, did you see what it said? 50 games. 50 games by the time it comes out will actually support what it can do. Everything else is going to play exactly the same. Now, I already made that mistake with the Pro. I bought the PS4 Pro day one, and barely anything I had showed any improvement whatsoever. No. Nope. Not this time. I will wait. I will wait for when I don't have to worry about scalpers snatching up all the pre-orders like they're already snatching up the disk drives. I don't have the patience for that shit. I'll wait until I can just log on to Amazon and buy one. Screw them. I'm not putting up with the drama. I got other things I could be spending my money on for Christmas. 8th wants one. But, you know, oh well. I'm not buying one right now. He wants one so bad that he's talking about, you know, ending his summer run and going ahead and getting back to work. Because, you know, he left his job when we moved here, and he just hasn't gone looking for anything else. So now that the Pro is about to come out, now he's ready to go back to work because he wants to buy that Pro. Well, he can buy the Pro with his money if he wants. I'm not buying one. Star Child in a Bubble. Hi, Star Child in a Bubble. Seventh, speaking of Astrobot, it seems like copies of it are scarce where I'm at. The GameStop I went to only had pre-order copies, so I couldn't buy one and had to go to Walmart. Thoughts? I've been hearing that a lot from people in my circle, that they tried to go to GameStop and buy one and it was sold out already. And I think that's simply because of the fact that GameStop is in such dire straits these days that they literally only, their initial order is only enough copies to fill their pre-orders. They don't buy enough where people can just walk in and buy them anymore. If you don't pre-order it, you don't get it. And so, unless it's some massive thing like Call of Duty or something like that. I wanted to get Space Marine 2, and Amazon is sold out of it. Amazon doesn't expect to have more copies till October 1st. So, you know, I was hoping to play some Space Marine 2. I can't play it because I'm not gonna drive up to the Walmart. I'm not gonna drive up to the GameStop. If I can't have it delivered to my house, I'm not gonna bother. I don't want to waste the gas. I don't want to waste the gas. Yeah, that's $800. You know, I can think of a lot of things I'd rather spend $800 on. Like other games that I actually want to play. I have so much stuff that's pre-ordered that, you know, I'm fine with the PS5 performance the way it is. Most of the games that I have on PS5, if I play them in performance mode, they're 60 frames per second. That's all I need. I don't care about ray tracing. I could not give less of a crap about ray tracing. I'm perfectly fine playing. If it's 60 frames per second, that's all I care about. Yeah, Ultra Steel, I didn't think much of it because, you know, here in the States, there's what they call barcades everywhere. I mean, there's a whole chain of them called Dave & Buster's, where it's a sports bar with an arcade in it. America's had them for years. I even did a video when I first moved here to Texas about a barcade that I went to called Pinballs. They had a retro arcade, modern arcade, pinball machines, a go-kart track, a restaurant, and a bar. You just must not be watching my videos, son. That's all I know to tell you. I wouldn't have minded the special edition controller, but since they're talking about these new DualSenses that are more expensive, supposedly having a longer battery life, I'm looking to see if their Edge controller or whatever comes out with one that has a longer battery life, and I'm thinking of picking one up because 8's had one for a while and he really loves it. All right, well, it's Saturday, it's 6 o'clock, September 14th, 2024, and this is the 7thCast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is upstairs doing 8th things. I will admit up front that I am not feeling my best today, but I am trying to soldier on. So I am here. I've already been talking with some of y'all on the topic at hand. Funny how when I put something up there like PS5 Pro, PS5 NO, instantly when the show starts, there's like 30 people in here. Any other time, I gotta let it click up slowly over the course of the show. Just shows you fanboyistic my fan base is. All right. Raspberry. Okay. Back in, when was it? 2016, maybe? I bought the PS5 or the PS4 Pro. It was $400. When I bought the original PS4, it was $400. $399, $399. When I bought the PS5, it was $500. Here comes the PS5 Pro, $800 if you want a physical drive. Now, of course, I want a physical drive because I've bought 130 physical games for it. It's not like they're going to give me download codes for all the games that I've purchased. And even if they did, that 2 terabyte SSD that it comes with isn't going to store them all. And like I said before in the pre-show, there's currently, when it launches, only going to be 50 games that even make use of what it can do. Just like with the PS4 Pro, when I brought that sucker home thinking, oh, this is going to make everything look great, and most of it just looked the same. You had a small handful of games that had increased the frame rate on it or made the resolution higher. So what? If it's not bumping every game you put in it to 4K 60, what's the point? Eventually, I will buy one simply because of the fact that I always buy the best unit of that generation. That's why I have a PS4 and a PS4 Pro. That's why I have an Xbox One and an Xbox One X. You know, if they come out with a better version, you know, I buy the Slim, I buy the Super Slim, whatever. I will buy it. But I'm not buying it now because there's no point in shelling out $800 this close to Christmas for something that's going to give me no benefit for months. Because here's another thing. Those 50 games, of the ones that I actually own, I most likely have already played to completion and don't care to replay anytime soon. So again, no benefit. If they wanted to show me something, they should say, here's 15 new games coming from PlayStation first party that are coming out next year that all run at 4K 60 with ray tracing. Boom. Then I'd have a reason to buy one now. But they're not going to do that, so I have no reason to buy one. I'm really thirsty today. I'm going to end up blowing through all my drink before we even get to the halfway mark. I can't see myself doing it, man. There's no real benefit. 2 terabyte SSD, I've already got 1 terabyte internal and 1 terabyte expansion slot. My PS5 already has 2 terabytes of storage. That does nothing for me. I already play all my games in performance mode if there is a performance mode, because I care more about frame rate than I do resolution or ray tracing. It has absolutely no benefit to me for the $800 I would have to spend. Not to mention the hassle that I'd have to go through to make sure that I get one, as opposed to having to wait months anyway because of snipers and scalpers. No thanks. I don't need that in my life right now. Don't need it in my life. I just got my car paid off. That's freed up some capital for me every month. There's other things I can be spending that money on right now. And no, it's not building a gaming PC, because The only time that I ever come to sit in this chair is if I'm working on a video or working on a music or talking to you guys. I'm not playing games here. Well, I'll play Polymega here when I'm streaming. But eventually what me and 8th are going to do is we're going to get an HDMI splitter and we're going to run an HDMI from this console over to my TV back there so I can sit in my recliner and play retro games. That's what we're going to do. And we're just going to leave it right here. Or we'll move it over there to make more room on the desk and run the HDMI splitter up through here. Either way, doesn't matter. Either way. I'm not gaming unless I'm streaming at this desk. No thank you. Not going to happen. And neither is the PS5 Pro. If anything, I will wait until I get my bonus next March, and then I will buy one. If then. More than like, it's very possible I might just wait a year. Because right now, there's nothing out there that I haven't already beat that takes advantage of it. Why would I want it? Now, 8th has a valid reason. 8th he feels that it will increase the frame rate of some of his PSVR games. He's got some PSVR 2 games that they suffer from a frame rate issue, and he thinks it would help with that. The thing of it is, I don't know if it really would unless those games have unlocked frame rates. Or the ones that he's talking about, the developers have already announced enhancement patches for it. I don't know. But that's the reason he wants one. Anyway, I should probably start answering questions since there's more people than usual in here. But feel free to hit the like button and show me some likes as I'm answering all your questions. And anybody that's relatively new or hasn't been in here for a while, feel free if you want to support the channel. Streamlabs link right up there. For every $50 we hit, as my health allows, I will stay an extra hour. If I get too sick to be able to do it tonight, then your extra hour passes over to the next night. I appreciate y'all. So let me get scrolled up here. See what we got. Let's see. If they Bill Bones, if they come out with a DualSense Edge that has more battery life, I definitely want to pick up on it. I mean, I could probably just do what 8th does and play it corded, since I just sit at my recliner anyway. But we'll see. Am I sounding raspier than usual to you guys? I'm hearing it in my ear, but I don't know if it's real or just my imagination. Let's see. I thought the DualSense upgrade to the battery life already happened. If it did, I don't know anything about it. I had heard that was one of the things about the ones that are that have gone up in price. I don't remember how much they went up, but apparently they went up. No, Jeff Jarrett is not the best wrestler of all time, not even close. 7th, I saw Interstellar a few days ago. It was all right, not one of my favorites. Only scenes I liked were the black hole scenes and that water planet scene. What'd you think of it? It was okay, not something I really cared to watch multiple times. It is one of 8's favorite movies, though, so you might not want him to hear you say that. They should give us codes. Dang right, they should give us codes. You know what we ought to be able to do? We ought to be able to take our PlayStation phone app and scan codes, like the UPC code on the back of every physical PS5 game we get, and then that gets added to our library. So if we want to play it on our all-digital PS5 Pro, we can just download it and play it. That's the way they ought to do it, but they're not gonna, because they just want you to rebuy the digital version, which is another reason why I'm not rushing out to get a Pro. Screw them. Did you see Black Bun and Solid Rev video together? Yeah, that's old news. Saw it when it happened. Do you think the base model will see a price cut, or did you? No, I don't think it'll be price cut at all. Rainstorm. Hello, hello, hello. Well, hello, Rain. Long time no see. How you doing? I'm in a new house. Kind of glad I switched to PC as my main, and PS5 was my secondary. PC has a higher cost of entry, but the game's dirt cheap, and online play is free. Yeah. I just don't like sitting in this chair that long. Now, I understand that, I could run PC to my main TV and have, portable mouse and keyboard. I don't want to fool with that crap. I just don't want to do it. There's a huge benefit for some folks, to be honest. It's actually supposed to be close to, it's like 33.5 teraflops. That's a 50% discounted PC. I believe this personally is the target market. We'll see. I hope they make enough where they're not overly scalped after a month tops. Yeah, I ain't holding my breath. Yes, I watched El Presidor's Game of Thrones review. Most of it didn't make a lick of sense. It's like he wasn't even talking about the same show. So, where's your work? I don't have a work office. I work from home. I am remote IT. I got a 16-foot HDMI cord and hook my PC up to my 4K TV, then play on Steam's Big Picture mode. Great way to play. The price of the Pro is outrageous. Well, I mean, I get the point because me and 8th talked about it. The power equivalency of the graphics in there compared to the cost of getting a GPU that does that means that, $700 is not that bad of a price for what that is. But at the same time, they're talking about how, GTA 6 probably won't be 60 frames per second. And the only games that will be 60 frames per second outside of just still playing them in standard performance modes are the ones that get enhancement patches, which is the same crap we dealt with the PS4 Pro, where the majority of the games did nothing extra with it. Hello. What's your thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws? I don't know. I haven't played it. I didn't buy it. I bought Astrobot instead. If y'all want to donate $70, I'll be happy to purchase it tonight and start playing it and tell you all my thoughts about it. But right now, I can't do it. Because this month, with some of my extra fun money that I now have from my car being paid off, instead of going out and spending it on these $70 games that may or may not be any good, I went a little retro. Now, I didn't spend, a car payment's worth. I spent like $160 on some Dreamcast games to buff up my Dreamcast collection. I'm currently waiting for those to arrive. I'm also waiting on a great big blacklight carpet that I ordered over a month ago that's going to go right in front of that shelf. It's got a cool cyberpunk look to it with a cyberpunk chick on it and all this. It's very, very Blade Runner, very 80s looking with a little bit of anime influence. And it's going to go right there. And then I've purchased another one that's more of the cheesy Game On crap that I used to have all over my bedroom when I was 17. And it's going to go right there. And it's also blacklight. And I got some little El Cheapo 10-watt blacklight light strips that are going to be aimed right up at it to light it up. So, we're still working on getting the game room show ready. There's some stuff that 8th wants to get for his areas upstairs too. Like his PC room, his game room. And I'm not talking about his game room. I'm talking about his PC gaming room. There's no decoration in there at all. It's just literally a college fridge, a gaming table for playing tabletop games, his PC desk, and curtains on the window, and that's it. There's no posters, there's no carpet. Well, there's carpet, but there's no rug, there's no black lighting in there, there's no nothing. We haven't done anything in there at all. Haven't done anything in his bedroom either. The only room that's had any attention is the game room that's right above me right now. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Oh, Star Wars Outlaws. Is Japanese sumo the only option for watching good wrestling these days? I've never been a fan of Japanese sumo, so I couldn't tell you there. You do sound more raspy than usual. You sound like you have a cold or something. Well, no, I don't have a cold. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's a side effect of aging. I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to develop my old man voice now that I'm within months of being 50. My PC has a 3080 in it. Yes, Interstellar is one of 8's favorite movies. MSRP went up for the different colored DualSenses from 70 to 75, but I think the more vibrant colors that were 75 are now 80. Oh, fine. Very nice. Bet you're loving your own home. Well, you know, I own my own home in Charlotte. I had to give it up as a deed in lieu of foreclosure because I didn't have time to sell it because my company moved me so fast. So then this past March, when we moved to Texas, I was like, I'm not going to get caught like that again. So I'm going to just rent. And we rented the same house for 7 years. And then this past, when was it? March, they said, we're not going to renew your lease this time. The owner has decided to sell the home. So you have until May 31st to get out. Well, this time I didn't want to turn around and go back into another rental home that may or may not still be leasable for me a year from then and have to go through all this moving crap all over again. Didn't want to put 8 through that. So I decided, we're just going to have to see what we can get approved for with next to no down payment because we hadn't been saving for one. And miracle of miracles, we were able to buy a house. And this house is both newer than the one we were living in. It's not brand new. It's a 17-year-old house, but it's 2,300 square feet. It's close to twice the size of the one that we were in. Well, not really. The one we were in was 1,400 square feet. So it's almost 1,000 square feet bigger. It would be twice the size once we finish doing what we're wanting to do with the garage. But it's 60 miles north of where I was living. It's in a much quieter area. Nothing really happens here except for the fact that we live fairly close to a military base, and every now and again they will test munitions, and so they'll blow up a bomb and it shakes the house. That's about it. That and the fact that we're in the very tail end of Tornado Alley, and 2 days before we were supposed to move here, a tornado skimmed past the top end of the neighborhood and took chunks of roof off of a few people's houses. And the front line winds damaged the houses on this side of me. Didn't do anything to my house, except the house used to come with a tool shed in the backyard. Tool shed ain't there no more. Tool shed was shoved into chunks, thrown like throwing stars into the fence on this side of the backyard when we came to move in. Had no power when we moved in, so we were without power. In the first several days we were here, no power. Ain't that fun? Let's see here. Man, y'all are asking a lot of questions today. Hi, video game lover. Worst popcorn you've ever had in a theater? Usually it ends up being some independent theater. It'll be some independent mom and pop theater where you can go see the movies for $1. And, they charge extra high for their concessions, but then their popcorn is ass. That's usually been it. Work office in the house, you said you're only at this PC if you're streaming or working from a video, I think. Yes, because I work with my corporate issued laptop in my recliner. Are you trying to catch me, Bill? Really? Hey, 7th, do you think we'll get PS5 VR 2? No, we're just going to have VR 2, and some of the games will be enhanced and some of them won't. What's the craziest movie experience you've ever had? I went to see one of the Crazy movies. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was Crazy Movie 2. And a fight broke out with, we were me and my wife at the time were two of the only white people that were in there. But one of the other white people that were in there was a very heavy-set white woman with dreadlocks who thought that she was not a white woman and was intentionally and very racistly acting like how she thought a black woman would act watching a movie in a movie theater. And she was pissing off the actual black women that were in said movie theater. And she ended up getting in a fight with a bunch of black girls in the theater. And popcorn and soda and sections of weave were flying everywhere. And it was bad. It was so bad that as each one of us was leaving the theater, we had to be interviewed by police on our way out. That is the wildest theater experience that I've ever had. That wasn't here. That was years and years ago before 8th was even born. I think. When did Scary Movie 2 come out? What year was Scary Movie 2? Let's find out. Scary... I'm having to type slow because of where my microphone is. I should get a microphone arm. Although I just made it look like I was... I should get a microphone arm. Somebody's going to turn that into a GIF. I just know it. I should get a microphone arm, but instead I just put the microphone on a stand in front of me and I have to type slowly around it. Scary Movie 2 came out in 2001. Yeah. She and I went to see this at the theater before 8th was born. This would have been, I think, the summer of 2001 before 9/11 happened. We were still in Tampa at the time. That was a mess. What do you think about those apologists saying that the Pro is meant to be a luxury item for selected enthusiasts? That still doesn't mean it has to be that expensive. Because, it is true, hey, we're power-wise, we're comparing it to a very expensive graphics card. But do you really think that it costs Sony as much for that little system on a chip and the enhancements that they put on it compared to the actual GPU that goes into a PC? No, they don't. The main reason why I hate Xbox is the red wing of death. The red wing of death? Red wings of death, isn't that when you you go down on your woman while she's having her monthlies? That's what I thought the red wings were. Whenever you have one of your friends say they earned their Red Wings, would you do a video with Happy Console Gamer? Of course I would if I was ever up in Canada. But I'm never up in Canada. You know, he came in here one time during the 7thCast and just to say hello and donated. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. It was a long time ago. Where's 8th? 8th is upstairs in the 8th wing. Hi, Chris. Seventh, did you hear? They're eating the... Oh, Lord. 7th, what's your favorite Christmas movie? Oh. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Now, as far as favorite Christmas cartoon, Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. If you've never seen it, I suggest you look it up. It is sad in the same way that Bambi is sad, but it goes to places with that particular occurrence in ways that Bambi never did. That one might just tear your little heart out. So, but feel free, go watch it. It's not as sad as Grave at the Fireflies. It's not as sad as that. But it's my personal favorite of all the animated Christmas specials. 7, thoughts on Disney's The Emperor's New Groove. I wish Disney made more dark humor movies like... I wasn't a big fan of it because, you should watch a documentary about how that movie was made. Originally, it was going to be a much bigger, more epic thing along the lines of Atlantis, the Lost Empire. And for one reason or another, it fell apart, and they decided to cut the budget by 2/3 and make it into a small little comedy thing. And so what you have is a bunch of their concept art that they repurposed for this much smaller comedy story. So, you might like that movie, but I had to be robbed of a movie I wanted to see for you to have it. So I hope you're happy with yourself. Ultra Steel. Probably already discussed, but that PS5 Pro is a freaking... Lol, that's a riveting backstory on your house. Yeah, we bought the house in April, and it's getting closer and closer and closer to move-in time. And 2 days before, my friend who already lives up here sends me a message about a tornado coming through this area, and it's somebody over-exaggerating on Facebook saying the name of my neighborhood was just destroyed. And all of a sudden my heart rate shoots through the roof, and I call my boss and I'm like, I gotta go. Tornado just hit the neighborhood that I'm supposed to be moving into. Me and my son gotta go inspect the house. So with all that bad weather going on, could have been another twister hit there any time. Me and 8th drive up the freeway and come up here to check it out, and there was no damage. There's some dents in one of the rain gutters from the hail, but no broken windows. No, we didn't lose a single tile off of our roof. Damaged roofs all around us, but ours, not a single tile, not even any significant hail damage to any tiles on the roof. It's, my street ends in a cul-de-sac, and I'm on the side just before the cul-de-sac hits, And so the other houses that wrap around that cul-de-sac, they got hit pretty bad. I got hit almost not at all. And it's like those houses took the brunt of the wind and shielded mine. And so the only thing that happened with mine is the backyard, which acted almost like a wind tunnel between the two, our line of houses and the houses on the other side of my backyard. The wind just swept through there and blew that shed down. And that's it. There was no other damage to our house whatsoever. We've now had 4 different companies come and say, we'll give you a free roof inspection, hoping to be able to point out some damage that they can, con me into contacting my insurance company and putting a new roof on the house when this house roof was completely replaced just 3 years ago. And every single one of them has been like, well, your roof definitely did its job. There's nothing damaged up there. Just some dents in the gutters from the hail, which I don't care about. So, oddly enough, my house is the only house in the neighborhood that has rain gutters. The rest of them, they just let the water run right off the roof. Don't know why. It just is what it is. All right. Back in the day, video game characters used to have idle animations. What were your favorite? Well, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't. Are you talking about like as in Japanese idols with the and all that crap? I barely know anything about it. I'm not entrenched in that part of anime culture. Hello there, bro. Ultra. Good evening. Hope all is well. Yeah. 7th and 8th fellow gamers, I'm drinking some watermelon energy drinks and eating some chips. Well, good for you. I don't really drink watermelon. I'm not a big fan of chips much anymore. Back in the day, video games came with all the content, blah, blah, blah. Did she win the fight? Was anyone arrested? There were some people that were arrested. Yeah, that's why they were questioning all of us on our way out. Don't remember who it was. So I know that she had all of her fake dreads ripped out of her head. All of it was weave. All of it was weave. I just thought about something interesting for one of your future casts. Would you ever be down to do virtual gaming tournaments? I don't know, maybe you could do... That sounds like a lot of work. And a lot of coordination. And my audience isn't big enough for that. Did you enjoy a Jason movie last night? No, I did not. July 4th, 2001. Yeah, that sounds about right. The Red Ring of Death, my bad. Yes, Red Ring of Death. 7th, do you like the movies Batter Santa and Batter Santa 1 and Sling Blade? Batter Santa 1 is called Bad Santa, Bill. It's Batter Santa is Bad Santa 2. Yes, I liked Sling Blade. Not so much Batter Santa. I liked Bad Santa better. Did you like Emmett Otter's Jug? Not really. I thought it was kind of boring, even as a kid. Do you watch Christmas movies every year? Absolutely. I watch the first two Santa Clauses. Santa Claus the movie from the 80s. A bootleg of Smoky Mountain Christmas with Dolly Parton. Ernest Saves Christmas. Definitely National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Both the Home Alone the first two Home Alone movies. There's some others, but they're not coming to mind. Every now and again, I'll watch Christmas with the Cranks. It's not one of my favorite ones, but there is a couple of things in there that I dig. Grave of the Fireflies Destroyed You. Yeah, that one's rough. I was still a baby when 9/11 happened. My mother watched it on the news. I was a 25, 26, somewhere around in there, year-old PC technician, and I was installing a networked computer lab in a high school in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, right on the beach. And they stopped all the classes to announce what was going on, and then they wheeled TVs in for everyone to watch, and then the school evacuated, and we ended up leaving early and going back to our hotel, and we just hung out in our hotel all day watching the news. Boy, I really need to catch up here. 7, do you think this is the most disappointing gen in gaming? No. I've lived through worse, but this one hasn't been good. This gen so far reminds me of the gen just before the NES came out. The part of Louisiana where I lived, we just dodged Hurricane Francine. Got rain and wind. That's the nice thing about hurricanes. You have a few days to prepare or run. Have I ever fired a gun? Yes. How many times have I talked about going to the range with my dad over the years? Where have you been? I remember Skyrim being the first time looking at something in the background and you could literally go there in the game. What was your experience with Skyrim? Oh, I loved Skyrim. I was completely enamored with it, bugs and all. I ended up platting it on PS3. You know, the buggiest system that was running it. Okay, so there goes all my tea. Gone through all of that already, and we're only a half hour in, and I've already finished my tea and almost my first bottle. I am thirsty today. Speaking of Ghibli, would you be interested in going to the Ghibli Museum in Mitaka? Yes, I would. I feel bad for people who bought a PS5 and a Series X. Well, I don't regret buying my PS5. I mean, there have been games that have made the gen worth it for me. I'm just saying that compared to the PS4 generation, the PS3 generation, and especially the PS2 generation, this generation has been a dud. Oh, clean frame. That's because you're misspelling idol. It's not idol, it's idle. I-D-L-E. Idol is something you worship. Being idle means not moving. I-D-L-E. The more you know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Moving on. Your tea. Yes, it's unsweetened iced tea. This ain't Billy. I'm not, knocking back whiskey here. It's unsweetened iced tea. No ice. So it's just cold southern tea. And then this is sugar-free flavored water. 7th, which do you prefer, 300 or Braveheart? Well, I mean, neither of them are in any way historically accurate. But between the two, I'd say overall Braveheart is the more satisfying. Thoughts on the Dick Van Dyke Show? Dude, I'm old, but I ain't that old. I mean, it was available on reruns when I was a kid, but I didn't watch it. Seventh, do you think Trump staged that shoot? Now, come on now. You know this ain't a political stream. This one time I will indulge you. No, I don't think it was staged by Trump. What flavor? Well, the one I just finished. Slinky donated $10. Thank you, Slinky. You get the dollar bill. That means we are now $40 away from extending the show by 1 hour. 40 more bucks and I got to stay till 10 instead of 9. My time. Let's see what Slinky said. Hanging with the boys. Well, all right then. I thought 300 was 90% accurate. I have some really nice swampland in southern Florida to sell you, sir. 7th, what about I Love? Well, yes, as born in the 70s, child of the 80s, I saw a few reruns of I Love Lucy, yes, along with I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, and several other shows, but not Dick Van Dyke. Reruns, I wasn't around for when they were live, or when they were new. Jeez. every year that I can remember back to, and my memory goes all the way back to 1977. That's as far back as I can remember. Every year, there's been at least one person in my life that has said, crazy times we're living in right now. It just is what it is. This planet is a show. For reals. Oh, my bad, 7th. Do you have a favorite idol animation? P.S. Then and Dan be kicking my ass also. Lol. Favorite idol animation. I'm simple, man. My favorite idol animation is Sonic the Hedgehog in the original game, tapping his foot and looking at you like, are you going to do something, you a-hole? That's the first idol animation that I ever remember seeing, and so that's my favorite one. Zack Snyder said it was accurate. Zack Snyder says a lot of things. I got news for you. Xerxes wasn't 10 feet tall, okay? Good Lord. Have you ever ridden a subway? I rode the one in Atlanta once. Back in the mid-'80s. I want to say it was 1986, 1987. I was chosen, along with a handful of other kids, to attend the Students Staying Straight convention in Atlanta, Georgia. SSS. And they gave us t-shirts that had that. SSS. We were like elite Germans plus one. Students staying straight. Now, back then, that did not mean, the gaze of other lads were tickling our fancy. No. Students staying straight meant not taking drugs. And so then, a certain community got a little bit offended by it, and so that movement was eventually changed from SSS to DARE. But not when I was in it. When I was in it, I had to walk around with a big SSS shirt, Students Staying Straight. And we all called it the non-gay convention, because that's the way a lot of people were taking it. And so we went there. We stayed in a hotel in downtown Atlanta. Here we are, a bunch of mostly white kids. We had black kids at our school, but most of us that attended were white. And we're staying in this hotel in the middle of downtown Atlanta. We're hearing ambulances all night long, running up and down the strip. And it was taking place at like the Atlanta Convention Center and the Omni and all that. And I remember one day afterwards, we were hanging out in the mall part of the Omni, and we went to that arcade that used to be in the Omni that was made to look like it was in an old mine shaft. It was like an old gold mine. That was really cool. And at one point, we went to this mall in downtown Atlanta. I would assume it's not there anymore, but it was, at the time, famous around the South for being a mall that had 5 floors. It was 5 floors of mall. And I went and bought a bunch of music tapes at the Camelot Records in there, and then went down to the first floor to play some video games on the arcade that was next to the food court. And I'm standing there playing Krull, the arcade game. And my dumbass set my bag with my cassette tapes in it between my feet. And one kid came up and was talking to me while I was playing the game and distracting me, while his partner was reaching down and stealing my tape bag off the floor. And I got super pissed that I'd been robbed, and I kicked the crap out of that Dune arcade machine, and I got thrown out by the security guard. And so I got in trouble because they were like, you could have gotten us all barred from the mall, blah, blah, blah. And so, my 12 or 13, I think 12-year-old self at the time got thrown out. My parents weren't there. We had teachers as chaperones. My parents were back home. So it was just, us kids and a couple of teachers. And so here I am in Atlanta. We're not following the buddy system. I'm by myself in an arcade, 12 years old, at a mall in downtown Atlanta. I get stuff of mine stolen, what do you know, in Atlanta. And I get thrown out of the arcade by a mall cop. So she was like, you're gone. Yeah, it was a female security guard. You're gone. Out of here. I was like, oh, you're not going to do shit about the kids that just stole tapes from me. I didn't see that, but I did see you kick that arcade machine. You're out of here. 7th, the 12-year-old criminal for kicking an arcade on the kick guard. Arcade machines had like a scuff guard because people would regularly, bump against that part of the cabinet with their feet. I kicked that because that's what it's for. Thrown out. But yes, in one of those occasions, long story short, I rode the Atlanta subway on that trip. So that was the whole point of that story. Moving on. I didn't say Braveheart was historically accurate. I just said it was the more satisfying of two historically inaccurate films. Speaking of Zack Snyder, what do you think of that guy as a movie director? He's all right. Not the worst I've seen. You grew up during the Dare era. Lucky you. And what I remember most about it was like they had this big stage set up in one part of the convention center. And they had, big old Marshall amps and all this stuff set up. And like all these teenage girls that were there with us started spreading this rumor that Bon Jovi was going to be performing at the Student Staying Straight convention. And I'm like, are you out of your damn mind? There's a lot of things that Bon Jovi would do, but sing at an anti-drug convention is not one of them. I also almost got thrown out of the entire convention by a security guard because one neat thing about that Atlanta Convention Center was they had these massively tall escalators that go from one floor down into the next floor. And the little metal slot and the metal strips between those escalators didn't have those little round things sticking up every few feet. You know what those are for? Those are to prevent 12-year-olds like me from sliding all the way down these escalators and getting up to 30, 40 miles an hour by the time I get down to the bottom and go flying off and landing like 15 feet from the escalator, nearly killing myself, but then getting up and saying, damn, I'm doing that again, and then getting caught by a security guard. These are the kind of things I would get up to when my dad wasn't around, Anyway. Years ago, somebody there in the chat would have had to pay me $20 for a story like that, and y'all got that one for free. Anyhow. I'm not really a fan, to be honest, but people say the Snyder cut of the Justice League was a lot better than the theatrical. I will give him that. 7th, if Neil Druckmann wanted to talk to you about why you dislike him, would you talk to him? Yeah, but he wouldn't enjoy it much. And he probably wouldn't stay for more than the first 30 seconds of it and then get up and leave. When something progressive is in contention, the particular year is always being thrown out. Like they'll say, it's 20XX, of course, blah, blah, blah. It happened since 1999. You go, well, this kind of stuff, what you call progressive used to be called PC, politically correct. And that stuff started initially, for us anyway, right before Clinton got elected. So like early 90s is when that stuff really kicked in. And, it was the same thing, changing of vernacular, no one was disabled anymore. They were differently abled. No one was blind. They were vision or hearing impaired, etc., etc. It was the same thing of changing language. Because one of the ways that you can manipulate and control the minds of a populace is by changing the language and using that as a way in to changing not only their way of speech, but their way of thinking. And it's nothing new. A certain group of Germans did it in the 30s. And it went away. It was very popular for a good long while. Part of it ended up being the reason that video games have ratings on them. But then it pretty much died off right when it was announced that Bill Clinton was getting his poll sucked in the Oval Office. And that whole trial, and Clinton sitting there arguing what the definition of is, and political correctness just kind of went away. And it didn't really come back until not long after Obama got elected. And then it just kind of started creeping back in little bit by little bit by little bit, where you started seeing fewer and fewer and fewer R-rated horror movies, fewer and fewer and fewer R-rated comedies. Video games started having less skin in them, less adult humor, etc., etc. And then come 2012, it was in full-on effect. And that's when, in addition to everything else, the trans movement was added up into all of that. And then 2014 hit, and there was Gamergate, the first major backlash against that kind of thing. And it's been just a constant culture war ever since, for 10 years. And so what it's going to take to get it to stop this time, I don't know. The last time, it was stopped by a progressive literally getting caught with his pants down. So what kind of calamitous event would have to happen this time to a progressive to get people to drop this crap and just, start being normal again for a change? Who knows? But part of it is that, here's the thing. It's not real, aside from, people that don't have citizenship being here, there's not really a whole lot different for normal average people like you and me. What you see online does not equate to what's actually going on with the populace at large. Whether you want to, I know everyone, the internet has changed the world, but there's a lot of people out there that still don't use the internet, don't want to use the internet, don't care about it, or even know what it is. And for them, things haven't really changed that much. They don't know about, my pronouns and all that stuff. They don't know about that stuff. It's when it starts showing up in the schools and their kids come home and be like, Dad, you'll never believe what I heard at school today. And so, the father, not knowing any better, will say, well, you got to defend your beliefs and whatnot. Next thing you know, their kid's labeled as an ist. Some kind of ist. That's one way where normal people get affected by it, is in the school. They'll get affected by it in the schools, their kids, and they'll get affected by it in changes demographically from not non-citizens living there. Those are the two things where, just average Joes are going to notice a difference. But again, that's political type stuff. I don't really like getting into that kind of thing on this show. don't really care to do that much because no matter what I say, somebody's going to get pissed about it, and I just want to have fun, you know? Do you like the film Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis? Yes, but the Prom Night sequels were garbage. I think people are going to drop out tonight like flies because of the first fight happening at the Las Vegas Dome. Sphere. Whatever. 7th, have you seen the weird movie Powder? I really liked it, but it was so weird. Well, you know, that movie was directed by a PDF file. I don't know if you knew that or not. Convicted. 12-year-old boy. Yeah. Same guy that did Jeepers Creepers, by the way. Can't remember his name. Don't want to remember it. Euphemism. Do you think religion manipulates people's opinions and the things that they do? I think that people can allow religion to manipulate them. There is a strong difference between religion and faith. A lot of people view their Christianity as a religion. I view my Christianity as a faith. And there is a difference. Why did you choose curtains rather than blinds for that room? Because I wanted as much light blocked out as possible. And curtains were a lot cheaper than blackout blinds. Blackout blinds was going to cost me over $100 a window. Curtains far cheaper. Plus, I got them in movie theater color. So I kind of like that I've got, you know, all the curtains in the house are movie theater color, like maroonish red. 7th, do you think Sony is focusing on Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom? Should they just make a Maximum Carnage movie and do its trailer? Well, they already killed Carnage, so I mean, without Spider-Man ever having met him. Which movie genre would you want to see a comeback? Hard R comedy. Hard R comedy. I miss my Animal Houses and Revenge of the Nerds and Porky's and The Last American Virgin and stuff like that. I miss those hard R 80s comedies. Yeah, I think The Hangover was a good step, but they got a little bit formulaic with it. Not that the 80s ones weren't formulaic either, but but then again, here came progressivism and wokeness and whatnot, and now the only time you'll see anything that comes even close to what The Hangover did is direct to streaming. Like I just watched one. It was pretty tame, really. It was on Netflix. I think it was called Incoming or something like that, and it almost felt like they were trying to do Project X, but they just didn't have the balls to go that level with it. I mean, it did have some gross out stuff, like a girl getting drunk and crapping all over herself, and two nerds getting stuck having to clean it out of the car and clean it off of her and whatnot. So, you know, it had some gross out humor, but nothing to the level of really of some of the stuff that happened in old 80s comedies or even, the Hangover series. But I'd like them to bring that kind of stuff back. That and, of course, hard R horror. I mean, we do get R-rated horror movies, but, I wish they were back in their prime. I wonder why Powder was so weird. Yeah. Hey, 7th, do you like the film Orphan? Is that the one where it's like she's supposed to be 12, but she's really like a 30-year-old woman or something? I didn't watch it. I could tell it was something I wasn't going to dig. Do you do all of your gaming on that TV behind you? For the most part, yeah. Some handheld, but mostly on that TV. That's a 70-inch. I am looking to replace it and get something that's got a higher refresh rate, because that one's just 60 hertz. But I'm the kind of guy that, as long as it works, as long as I can turn it on and see the picture and have audio, I'm not going to run out of my way to replace it. I tend to only buy a new TV when my old one breaks, but I'm looking at maybe replacing it next year. Probably the same size. Probably not going to get anything bigger. I'll probably stick with 70-inch. You've never seen Animal House? Wow. I hear that most women these days hate how more men are taking up gaming as a hobby. Well, they should get over it. They should get over it. Being married doesn't mean being stuck constantly up your spouse's ass all the time. Each of you should have something that's uniquely your own, so that when you need you time, you can go do that thing. And, as long as it's not something that encroaches on the rest of the family, find your little niche and go do it, wife. And I'm going to go do my little niche. And that'll be our time to just be in our own little space in our own heads. Everybody needs that. It's not healthy to be up each other's ass all the time. It's not healthy. I am still happily divorced because of how unhealthy that was. Because my ex was codependent as hell. She had to be right up on me all the time. And eventually that started to manifest in some really erratic, dangerous behavior. And it got to the point where finally I had all eyes could stand, and I called the cab. Oh, wait a minute. We have 2 hours remaining. There's been one single $10 donation to the Streamlabs. We are 40 away from extending the show by 1 hour. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you, Slinky. Let's see. Sir, will you be getting the Silent Hill 2 remake when it comes out? I'm not liking the look of it, and I'm not a fan of survival horror anyway. If we end up getting it, it'll be because 8th wants it, but I don't know that he wants it. Because we have Silent Hill 2 on PS2. He doesn't necessarily need the rerun, especially when they've changed the character models to look like, weird, frumpy people. I don't like the character models. They don't look anything like the originals. So lame how Stellar Blade had to change the name of its place called Hard R. Censorship can be overbearing. Yeah, it sucks. That's a cool idea. That being said, we have that game and I haven't played it yet. Was Jeepers Creepers an allegory to PDFophilia? Come to think about it. I thought so ever that delinquent director got caught. I don't know. I myself didn't detect any of that when I saw Jeepers Creepers in the theater. But then again, I was kind of enjoying myself too much listening to my wife at this time scream bloody murder because she was getting totally scared and freaked out by that movie. She couldn't. That was another thing, is that, I'm a big horror movie aficionado. She couldn't handle horror at all. It'd freak her the hell out. And so, she couldn't handle. She couldn't handle Jeepers Creepers well. She spent a lot of it hiding her face. We went to see 13 Ghosts, and that one's 13 Ghosts scared her to death. I'm not even going to tell you what happened when she saw The Ring. I would say, Star Child, that there's not that many women still around that like knitting these days. Revenge of the Nerds. I have Revenge of the Nerds. I have it on Blu-ray. That reminds me, another good thing about me not wanting to save up for the PS5 Pro pre-order that I probably wouldn't be able to get anyway is it allows me to have weekly pickups. So here's what I've managed to pick up this week. First, I got a Japanese import of this game called Devil Engine. It's a side-scrolling shmup. Yes, it was re-released, I think, by Limited Run for a U.S. release. This is the original Japanese version, which is far cheaper than the Limited Run re-release. And so I picked this up. And actually, I picked that one up a while ago, and it's just taken forever for it to get here. I picked up this Blu-ray, The Last American Virgin. This one is not as well known. It's an 80s high school / college comedy, and it's not as well known because it wasn't released by a major studio. It was released by Canon Pictures. And it was basically Canon ripping off Porky's, ripping off Revenge of the Nerds, and ripping off, that style of film. The main reason that I wanted it is because it has Diane Franklin in it, who I loved Diane Franklin when I was a teenager. It's weird in that it's an 80s R-rated teen comedy that also has an abortion subplot towards the end of the film. And it actually ends on a down note. The aforementioned last virgin, the good guy of the movie, doesn't get the girl at the end. Spoiler. And so it ends on like a really down, sad note. The other movie that I picked up was One Crazy Summer, which is starting to become a bit of an uncommon Blu-ray. You don't see it out that much. This was the follow-up to Better Off Dead. It has a lot of the same cast as Better Off Dead. Was written and directed by the same guy who did Better Off Dead, but it doesn't have Diane Franklin in it. But it does have John Cusack, has Curtis Armstrong, Booger. It's got Bobcat Goldthwait in it, but it does not have Diane Franklin. Instead, the character that probably would have been played by Diane Franklin was instead played by a very young Demi Moore. But if you liked Better Off Dead, you would like One Crazy Summer. And those are my 3 pickups for the week. Aside from the Dreamcast games. Now, what happened with the Dreamcast games was that last night, Billy of the Game Chasers had a Whatnot auction, and he announced that he never really liked Dreamcast, so he was just going to sell off what was left of his Dreamcast games. And so I bought all the ones that I didn't already have. So I got Tokyo Extreme Racer, NHL 2K1, NFL 2K1, Oh, sorry. Somehow I must have accidentally tapped the microphone. The game that I was looking at was Metaphor. That Persona-like that's coming. It's coming out like the first week of October. I have that pre-ordered. Everything else I've pre-ordered pretty much ain't coming until next year. But I'm keeping money in the bank for when that game comes out, so I'm not surprised by it. And in case I do decide that I want to pick up like Dragon Age, or if I do happen across a physical copy of Space Marines 2. Let's see here. Now I got to catch up again. Goosebumps were the most popular books my school and elementary middle school would make us read. What was the book series in your elementary school that was popular? When I was in middle school, the most popular books were Stephen King books. Screw Goosebumps. That was for kids shit. We were reading the real thing, damn it. When I was in middle school, you could go to the middle school library and check out Stephen King books. I was in middle school when I got my copy of Stephen King's It. And I was like, I read that for a book report over one weekend. I read the whole book in a weekend and did a book report on it in middle school. You know, we none of us gave a crap about Goosebumps, son. Will you play Lollipop Repop? No, because I would only want physical, and I don't want to have to buy that from frickin' Limited Run or whatever and have to wait a year for it. Besides which, I already have the PS3 version, which is worth like $100, so I've already beat it and I never platted it. Is it a good that the PS5 Pro disc drive is selling out? No, because it's all it's mostly people resellers that are trying to scalp them on eBay. So no, that's not a good thing. Please tell us what happened when your ex-wife saw The Ring. Dang it, now I'm curious. She was a basket case for like a week. You know, all the lights in the house had to be turned on. She jumped every time the phone rang. You know, that kind of crap. Show her The Grudge. I'm sure she's seen The Grudge by now. She refused to watch it when we were together. Show her Dead Silence. No, she wouldn't watch Dead Silence. It's like she saw The Ring, and then after that, she didn't really want to watch any modern horror. The Ring pretty much ended it for her. So the only time I could watch horror was when she wasn't around. Come on, 7th, tell us what happened. I just... Order of Ecclesia was superb. Noted. 7th, have you ever been to Florida? And if so, did you meet Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't in Florida. That's not where all that happened. I'm not sure what you were trying to get at there. Have I ever been to Florida? Did I meet Jeffrey? That didn't happen in Florida. What are you talking about? Better Off Dead was a good movie. What's the weirdest movie you've ever seen? A Serbian film. Let's see here. Your ex-wife sounds just great. Yeah. I heard back from her for the first time in many years. I don't know whether to believe it or not. She told me that she was suffering from a terminal disease. And she wanted to talk to 8th about it, who hadn't talked to her in the better part of a decade. So I talked to him first, asked him if he wanted to talk to her. He said fine, and he created a burner email account for her to email, and they had a conversation, and I don't even know what was said. I don't know whether to believe it or not. She's told some real dingers in her lifetime. So, if it's true, sorry for her. Sorry especially for, the family that she eventually went on to build after all of this happened. But, karma, 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 you know what I'm saying? It's just the way it goes. Everybody has their designated time. Yours could be today, yours could be tomorrow. Mine could be tomorrow. Mine could be right now. Big tree could fall through the ceiling and just squish me flat right live here. Meteor could fall out of the sky, crush me flat right here live. You never know. You literally never know. I could have a heart defect that I've lived with all my life that finally just spurts right now. Just... And I go, and then I'm done. Live, right here. You never know. The only thing I can promise you is that you'll never see me self-delete. I ain't taking no coward's way out. No, thank you. I'm gonna grab and claw and scrape for every last intake of oxygen I can get. Not out of fear, but we were put here for a reason. And it wasn't to check out early. You know what I'm saying? Seventh, do you have any advice to avoid getting beat up in a bar? Why would you need that? You just said earlier in the stream that you don't go to many bars. Just stay out of the bars. You're not cut out for it, Ultra Steel. It's not your bag, baby. I thought Shadow watched too much Dexter. Ted Bundy was in a lot of places. One of them happened to be Florida. I'm pretty sure that's where he got executed, in any case. My old man's was in 2004. I've been without him for over 20 years now. Yep. Some of the lunch came back up there. Oh, that burns. Maybe that's why my throat's getting raspy. Maybe I've got acid reflux. That's a Christian belief. The Muslim believe in checking out early. Now, I hadn't heard that Muslims were pro-suicide, but I certainly am not. That's murder of the self. How can you ask for forgiveness of sin if you're already dead? That's a stupid way to go. You're not only robbing yourself of the potential for more life, the potential to turn things around, but you're also robbing yourself from everyone around you that you play an integral part in their life. You're robbing them. It's an act of selfishness. I don't abide by it and I don't support it. Now, that's not the same thing as being terminal on your deathbed and you giving your loved ones permission to pull the plug. That's not the same thing. I mean, I don't know how I'm ever going to get out from under these bills. No. They're going to find out that I cheated on my significant other. So what? Move to another town and start over. I don't have any respect for that. I don't have any respect for that. Aside from people that do it because they're not mentally well to begin with, like Robin Williams, for example. Aside from that, I don't have any respect for it. If you're of sound mind and you do that to yourself, no loss from me never knowing you. You know what I'm saying? Did you watch the Netflix show on Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah, I thought it was not very well done. Do you think people are lacking basic common sense more than ever these days? Yeah, absolutely. Because they have crappy parents, for one thing. Parents are allowing kids to be parented by their handheld devices. And so you end up with a bunch of children that don't know how to cope with anything, that don't know how to interact with each other. It just is what it is, man. From Clean Frame, I think the Borderlands series as a whole has the best DLC. Do you have a game series that you find their DLC is top notch? I don't really get into DLC that much. You know, for the most part, I play the game and I ignore the DLC unless I end up buying the Game of the Year edition that comes with the DLC included. And at that point, I don't even realize that I'm playing DLC. I just think I'm playing part of the game. What do I expect from Borderlands 4? I expect it to not be as good as Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 3 sure wasn't. I don't think that. I think a lot of times when it comes to the whole the parents and teachers thing, Ultra Steel, it's a matter of parents not being aware that that's going on in the first place. Because most of them have not raised their kids to even come home and tell them that it's going on. Their kids just trust their teachers, and before the parents know it, you know, they have a little socialist in their house. I watch all kinds of horror. Clean Frame. I don't really have any particular set requirements. I do prefer the supernatural stuff over just, you know, a straightforward slasher. I don't really get into religious debates either, Shadow Deist. I'm not here to convert you. I am not a preacher. That was not my calling in this life. And I don't think that I would be any good insofar as being that type of Christian that, you know, spreads the good word, spreads the gospel, and goes door to door to tell you, share my love of Jesus with you. And all. No, that's not me. I think I serve it better as being an example of how not to live your young life, of being a living parable, so that others can see what a life not following what you know to be true can do to you, and how that faith can pull you out of the mire that you trapped yourself in. And that's the best thing that I can do for my faith and for my Father, is just allow you guys to see me, warts and all, for all the bad choices that I made, all the lefts that I took instead of a right that caused pain not just to me but those around me. Let you see all that stuff, and so that you can learn from that and not stray from the golden path like I did. Anyway, moving on. Well, Slinky, that was your own fault. That was your own fault, son. It's true that there are some people that I believe are not built to be parents, but at the same time, none of us are ready to be a parent when we become one because we've never been one before. So it is a learning experience for every single person who has their first kid. And but there are some people out there that just you can tell within 5 minutes of talking to them they're just not built for it. Not always because of any fault of their own. It's just, things about their personality, things about the way they were raised. They're not cut out for it. And if you're a person who was just not cut out for it, fine. But, can't hold it against her because she was cut out for it. If she wanted to create a new life with you, and you didn't want to do that, well, you can't blame that on her. That was your call, bro. That was your call. I ended up in a relationship with what ended up being a very horrible person, at least at the time. I don't know what she's like now. Maybe she's redeemed herself. I don't know. Don't really want to know. But I don't complain that loudly about it because as horrible as she was, we created 8th. And so I came out of the other side of it remorseful for what led me to that spot, but not regretting any of it because I had him. And all you really did was rob yourself of the chance of potentially having your own 8th. But, I don't know you. Only you know you. And, I think if I sat down and talked with you for a few minutes, I'd be able to tell whether you made the right call there or not. But it was still your call to make. Which means it was also your place to bear the brunt of the responsibility and the consequences for it. Not her. 7th, I found a movie so bad that it's good, and I still find it to be better than modern Star Wars. How much would I have to donate for you to watch it and review it? That kind of depends on the movie, man. Kind of depends on the movie. With the PS5 Pro being $960 Canadian, will PS6 and whatever else Microsoft and Nintendo do next be over $1,000? Possibly. Don't know that I would buy one, though, because it's obvious that they're wanting physical to go away, just like I said they wanted to. I am not inclined to purchase an all-digital console. I'll tell you that right now. I'm already well familiar with the history of the 3 main religions of the planet. Or the 3 Judeo-Christian religions of the planet. Both what their alleged origins are and what their actual origins are, I'm well familiar. After Astrobot, they are saying there will be no more contenders for Game of the Year. I'm hoping Metaphor will take its spot. What are your thoughts? I wouldn't have a problem with Astrobot winning Game of the Year. It is that good. No BS. It is that good. It's every bit as good as, Mario Galaxy or Mario Galaxy 2 was. Just as good. That's not fanboyism. That's just a fact. Metaphor, I don't know because I haven't played it yet. Child support is expensive. It can be, yeah. It can be. Don't even get started on divorce laws, custody laws, etc. that made many men hesitate on even having a kid. But if you're that afraid of things, then nothing's ever going to happen for you. You have to be, marriage is a risk. Marriage is a challenge. You have to be willing to step up and take that challenge. Are there consequences? Yes. But the potential benefits outweigh the risk of the consequences, at least for me. The main trick is making sure that you are right in yourself for it, and you've picked out someone that's right in their self too. I did not do that. I settled. I went with, this will do. This is good enough. I'm going to stop looking now. And I shouldn't have done that. So that's on me. Yeah, Switch 2 could be up in the $400 or $500 range, easy. 7th, you like South Park? Yes, I don't like it as much as I did when it was newer. I don't think the new stuff that they put out is quite as good as their older stuff. I know people that get married and last 2 years and get divorced because they got married for the wrong reasons. I know people that get married and stay together right up till the point of death. They married for the right reasons. It's pretty as simple as that. Family Guy I liked in the early years of it. The new Family Guy episodes, kind of the same thing with South Park. Not a fan. How much damage has Disney done to Star Wars since buying it in 2012? Irreparable damage. Irreparable. It's dead. 7th, what up? Hey, Tokes, how's it going, son? Metaphor will 100% be a Game of the Year nominee. I wonder if Dragon Age will get a nomination, though I think it's up in the air. I don't know about Dragon Age, man. We'll see. We will see. I'm not enthusiastic on that. Did you like Fallen Order? I haven't played it. I own it. I haven't played it. I'm not going to discourage you, Ultra Steel. Going to church is as good a place to try to find somebody as any. But just a little word of advice. Not the pastor's daughter, man. Anyone but the pastor's daughter. Too numerous daddy issues to count, man. Steer clear of that. Oh, I absolutely think some Star Wars channels on YouTube are Disney shills. Absolutely. Star Wars Explained comes to mind. Then you have people that just are straight up BS artists that just spew absolute untruths. They're like the World Weekly News of Star Wars YouTube fandom. And the one I'm speaking of in that regard is Mike Zero. There's not an actual word of reality that comes out of that man's mouth. It's hilarious to watch. Do you know how many times Kathleen Kennedy has been fired according to Mike Zero? It's hilarious. I don't know that Star Wars can ever be revitalized, if by that you mean make it as popular as it once was. I think that moment is past. Thoughts on Space Marine? I liked the first one, even though it was a pretty blatant Gears of War clone. I have not played the second one because I can't find a physical copy anywhere. 7th, do you think you can follow the 7 deadly sins strictly? I know I can't. Well, Christianity isn't strictly about, always walking the pure path and living free of sin. The whole point of Christ's coming was the fact that it's not really possible for all men to live up to that standard. You should always go and sin not, but things are going to happen. One of mine is gluttony. I mean, look at me. I'm a total fat ass. I can't keep my mouth shut from cheeseburgers and pizza. And so I'm in the shape I'm in. Well, along with some medical issues that are causing me problems. But, I doubt I'll ever be as thin as I was when I started this YouTube channel. I doubt I'll ever get there again. I think I'm too old to get that far down. It's important to follow the commandments. It's important to follow such things because those were rules that were laid down by the Almighty. But at the same time, redemption through Christ exists because of the inability of people to live up to those standards 24/7 throughout the entirety of their life. And even if we could, there's still the burden of the original sin to deal with too. So if you choose to believe that in whatever form you choose to believe it, whether it be metaphorically or literally. I don't know if Mike Zero still makes videos or not. I don't go looking for him because he was full of, Do you think Star Wars Theory is a shill? Not really. I mean, most of his content that made him popular to begin with wasn't even talking about Star Wars news or movies or whatnot. He was doing fan fiction. He was doing his own stories and stuff. That's what made him popular, and that's not shilling. Do you like Blazing Saddles? One of the greatest comedies ever made. It's also a movie that probably wouldn't be made today. Doomcock. Yeah, Doomcock, he's so interested in being like the first to drop a story, to drop a leak. I don't think he does enough to vet those leaks. And so it ends up burning him. Because along with Mike Zero, according to Doomcock, Kathleen Kennedy has been fired 2 or 3 times now. So will Switch 2 be the last physical game system for Nintendo? Don't know about that one. It kind of feels that way, but you're not that fat. So, oh, yes I am. Yes I am. I just carry mine a little bit better than other people. I don't show as much of it in my face and my hands as other people do. But trust me, I only weigh maybe 60 pounds less than Boogie 2988 does. It's just mine is a little bit more evenly distributed than it is on guys like Wings and Boogie. Well, you quit alcohol, so that's a start. You'll slim down eventually. Well, I never was that big of an alcohol drinker to begin with. Even when I was drinking regularly, I was only having 1 or 2 drinks a week. It's not like I was going out to the bar or nothing. Me and Julianne are still good friends. We talk on Facebook. She has a family now, and I'm happy for her, but I'm schizophrenic, so I'm not fit to have any children. But I'm good with animals. If you're schizophrenic, I'm not so sure you'd be good with the animals either. I'm just saying, Slinky. I don't know about that. You know, you can come over, but if it's all the same to you, I'm going to keep the dog in her kennel, okay? Don't hurt me, bro. Let's see. Did Blazing Saddles kill the Western genre? No. What are you talking about? Silverado, Pale Rider, Unforgiven, Tombstone, Wyatt Earp. There's a ton of great Westerns that came out after Blazing Saddles. Come on, man. Do you have a favorite IP that has multiple media? Favorite IP that has multiple media? Berserk? You're not that fat to be called gluttonous. Oh, I beg to differ. Gluttony is not so much about how many pounds you weigh. Gluttony is about having a lack of self-control when it comes to enough is enough. You know, gluttony is about, you're not really hungry. You don't really need to eat that 12-slice large pizza, but something is telling you that you should anyway, and so you eat it. Gluttony is overindulgence. It's not just, oh, you're a fat ass. There's more to gluttony than just how many pounds you're carrying around. It's impossible for a skinny person that has a very high metabolism to be an absolute glutton. I used to think that Doomcock and Mike Zero were no. I've heard Doomcock talk without the voice modulator. Him and Mike Zero sound nothing alike. And I've seen him in person just wearing a mask to hide his face. Totally different body build than Mike Zero, too. If Kathleen Kennedy steps down, she'll likely pick a successor. Well, that depends on whether it's in her contract to do so. More than likely, she would step down, and Bob Iger, whoever is in Bob Iger's role at the time, would select one. It just depends on whether she has it in her contract to pick her successor. Hasn't Boogie lost a ton of weight? Compared to what he used to be somewhere around 500 or 600 pounds. Now he's in like the high 300s, low 400s range. He kind of bounces between 380 and 420. I was a skinny kid, but now I'm slightly obese in the 200s, almost 34. I wish I was in the 200s. 7th, what are your thoughts on former North American Sony CEO Jack Tretton? Did you think him dogging on Nintendo by calling them their consoles kitty was funny? I thought it was funny at the time, because that kind of, I'm not a console fanboy. It didn't offend me. Didn't offend me at all. There were some good things that Tretton did. There were some not so good things Tretton did. Same with Sean Layden. But both of them did a far better job than Ryan did. Good Lord, what was wrong with this man? He's the reason that we're in the situation that we're in as Sony enthusiasts, and not having much of anything aside from Astrobot to play this year. No, the Kathleen Kennedy, as far as I know, is not related to, the Kennedys. 7th, did you get my comment about the PS5 Pro? Sorry, we've been having more repliers than usual in here. But far fewer donations. Isn't that weird? It's like the nights where I make the most in donations is when I'm getting the fewest replies in the chat. It's really weird. We got a lot of people in here, a lot of people asking questions. We've had one $10 donation all night. It's weird how it works in reverse that way for me. Let me see. Where are you? 7th, I'm going to keep my original PS5, not getting a Pro. I hate these gaming console money grabs. I'm going to buy the PS5 Spider-Man limited edition console and limited Spider-Man controller and make some money. Well, I've already told you, man, I'm not in any rush to get the Pro. 8th wants one more than I do, and that's only for the VR2. So, maybe next year, depending on how big my bonus is. What do you think of Hulk Hogan saying things like he turned down the chance to be the next John Wayne? He's full of crap. Or that fans have forgiven Chris Benoit. He's full of crap. Will there be a way for you to cover the Crumb Sides heyday like you did for Trade for Life? No. Too many of those videos are gone. And, I didn't really... A lot of the footage I have is because I was involved with battles with various people. I didn't really get into many battles with people on the Crumb Side. Black Baron was pretty much it. That was it. That was the only one that I had a full-on battle with. Never really was in a battle with Crap Gamer because he chickened out. Never really got into a battle with Hard 8 because it got to the point where he blocked me every time he saw me. There's a lot of people that it just never happened. And once Black Baron was done, once I buried him and destroyed him the way that I did, I didn't think that there was anything left for me to prove in that regard, and so that's when I stopped with the whole console war thing. 7th, what about Nintendo's American CEO, Reggie? Funny dude. But yeah, him and Iwata didn't make the best decisions with Nintendo. I don't know who was in charge of the decisions that led to the Wii U. I don't know. They weren't the right decisions. I don't know if it was Iwata or, if Reggie played a bigger part in that than we know. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen some of the news around it, Nicholas. Not a whole lot, but enough to get a general idea of what's going on. Oh, yes, I very well remember when Black Baron accused me of that, Shadow Diaz. Quite well. The nights when you get the most donations is when Richard is here. Well, actually, that last night that I broke 100, it wasn't just Richard. It was several people. 7th, you versus the Great Exposer. Who was better? Well, both of us have gone silent enough now to where there's not that many people out there who know who we are anymore. But I would say between the two of us that there's more folks that remember me than remember him. So it just kind of depends on what your definition of greater is. I think I was a better showman than him. I put more effort into my videos than him. He basically just talked over gameplay. I don't know why that was, but he didn't like getting in front of the camera. And he didn't like doing a lot of editing or effects or production quality or any of that kind of stuff. And when I first started, I was just sitting in front of a camera. But eventually I started doing skits and learning how to edit and doing special effects and things of that nature. And, I wouldn't say that I've got really great at editing. I'm certainly not Billy. But I put more effort into what I did than the Exposer did. So again, it just depends on what your criteria are. All dogs like me. They can sense that I'm a good person. You don't need to hide your dog, and I live in Denmark, bro. Okay. That's fair. You go chasing after a lot of windmills, Slinky. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I want you to get donations. I want an Echoes of Wisdom review. What is Echoes of Wisdom? What is that? I mean, no one else has mentioned Echoes of Wisdom to me, Chris G, so I'm guessing that if you wanted me to review it, you'd have to buy it for me because no one else is going to do it. What did I skip this time? I read your comment about the PS5 Pro. I just read it a minute ago. Remember when the great exposer exposed the best of both worlds? I don't remember which one of us did that first. I remember I did a troll trap video on them. So it was a two-parter. I remember that much. But I don't remember who hit them first, me or him. Seventh, do you think Nintendo's trying to babyfy their brand during the Wii U era was really a bad move? It was so redundant. A lot of kids naturally like Nintendo already. Yeah, I don't know what. Like I said already, I don't know what the mentality was with the Wii U, and I don't know who it was that was calling all the shots for it. If it was Iwata or somebody else, but yeah. Reggie was a businessman, never a gamer. I don't know about that one. What was the reason E3 went down the way it did? Because it was just cheaper to throw your trailers directly online than having to pay for the space at E3. People got to where they didn't care about it anymore. All they wanted to see was the trailers anyway. I think Ellen got called a degenerate a lot growing up too. Ellen who? Who are we talking about now? Ah, the new Legend of Zelda game is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Okay. Yeah, I haven't pre-ordered it either. I didn't see a comment from you about Bret Hart, Tokes. Let me scroll up again. I'm not seeing anything about Bret Hart from you, sir. I see you saying that you're keeping your PS5 Pro and then asking me why I didn't respond to your comment about PS5 Pro and then you saying I skipped another comment. I don't see anything from you about Bret Hart. I don't see it. I scrolled all the way up through to your PS5 comment. I don't see the one about Bret Hart. Just retype it, man. Just retype it. It's coming in 12 days. Well, I don't have the money for it, so. And right now, I'm not even sure where my Switch Lite is. I don't have a full Switch. Both of those are upstairs. I have a Switch Lite, and I don't even know where it is right now. It's somewhere down here. I don't really miss E3. Because, again, all I did was show up to watch the trailers, and that was all I did. Just trailers. Living Legend super chatted $2. Seventh, long time. Glad you enjoyed Astrobot. Incredible. Yes, it was. Thank you for the $2. I'll give you a dollar bill there. There you go. Do you ever tune into Pete Dore's eBay hunting stream? Nope. Ellen DeGeneres. Who brought up Ellen DeGeneres? Where did that come from? Because I wasn't talking about her. Thoughts on James Earl Jones? I was a little surprised when I heard his first movie was... Yeah, I think you meant Dr. Strangelove. I like James Earl Jones. I wasn't surprised to hear that he had passed. I mean, he was up in his 90s. Do you think Ubisoft could go into bankruptcy? Oh, easily. Easily. Wouldn't take much, really. Wouldn't take much at all. That puts us up to $12, so we are $38 away from extending the show by another hour. It's been 25 years since Owen Hart's death. That's crazy. Yes, yes. Yes, indeed. I mean, it's been 23 years since 9/11. That messes me up enough as it is. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones, indeed. I request a new rule that instead of asking you to scroll up, we just retype it. Seventh, my comments ain't showing up. Well, I saw that comment, but I didn't see one from you about Bret Hart. Seventh, do you think Astrobot is a reminder that Sony has a lot of potential IPs they can revive for new games? Oh, absolutely. Although, I mean, yeah, they call out to a lot of old IP, but it's still a relatively new IP. I mean, yes, there's been 5 Astrobot releases, but this has been the only really full one. You know, one was a VR game, one was the demo basically that came packed in with the PS5, and then you had a couple of basically just tech demos in between. So it's a relatively new IP, but it does reference a lot of old IPs, which is part of its charm and appeal. But it does show how many different franchises, both first and third party, have shaped the identity of PlayStation over the last 30 years. And some of them really should still be around, like Sly Cooper, Ratchet & Clank, which, you know, was at least still around 4 years ago, and Jak and Daxter, and several others out there that should have been given more of a chance than they got. Legend of Dragoon being one of my biggest examples. Ubisoft and EA are garbage. You're not wrong. Ha ha, what the hell is a windmill, Seventh? Ha ha. Okay, Denmark. I'm just not even going to keep carrying on with that one. Seventh, have you read Bret Hart's book, My Real Life in the Cartoon World of Wrestling? So good stuff. I haven't read his book. I used to own a copy of his documentary, Wrestling with Shadows, but I've never actually read his book. No, I don't think Days Gone failed. It ended up selling like 6 million copies. It would have sold more if it had been supported more by the media. You know, if anything, it's a great game that had some bad editing choices. It took too long to get into the real meat of it. You know, that first 10 hours was slow and a bit rough. But once you got past that 10-hour mark, it just opened wide up. I think they should have been given the chance to do one more game with it to get that right, to learn from the criticism and improve on it. Seventh, I can't unsee this, but the robot from Astrobot always makes me think of Ava from Wall-E. You know what they make me think of? The Apple iMac. When he turns his head to the side, his head looks like an Apple iMac. That's what I think of. I called Reggie Phil's anime and then implied Ellen DeGeneres used to get called degenerate growing up. Yeah, that's a pretty far reach for anybody, Clean Frame. You know, that's video game executive lesbian that has a talk show. That's an awful big logical leap. You know, perhaps that made perfect sense to you. I would guess that most everyone else in the chat didn't make it from your A to your B. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just me. Seventh, are you familiar with Jonathan Vasquez? He's mostly known for creating Invader Zim on Nickelodeon, but he also made some... No. A little bit after my time, sir. Little bit after my time. Remember, I'm about to turn 50 this year. I don't think I've watched anything on Nickelodeon since SpongeBob was new. And even then, that was just because, you know, it wasn't even new at that point. It was, you know, 8th used to be into it. And that was the last time I watched anything. Yeah. Got a little secret for you, though. When 8th was younger, he was into iCarly, too. So I ended up having to watch some episodes of iCarly. Anyway. When are you turning 50? Towards the end of the year. Couple months. Ellen DeGeneres should be the new Mrs. Seventh. Oh, I don't think so. At this point, I don't think there should be a new Miss Seventh at all. Much less, you know, Ellen DeGeneres. Oh, by the way. One hour remaining. We've had $12 in the donations. We are $38 away from extending the show by 1 hour. $38. No, he whispers like I'm not here. I never can tell if 8th is watching or if he's not. Did you like... I was not particularly fond of it, no. But 8th really liked it at the time when he was a kid. I doubt he would care much for it now. 7, thoughts on how Stitch looked in that new... I don't think I'm going to be a fan. I don't think I'm going to be a fan of that. I didn't like it. I was almost an adult when iCarly premiered. PS5 Pro price is results of no competition. At Lord 8th, I liked Interstellar but didn't love it. Please don't kill me. iCarly was cool back in the day. I went to Seattle a while back and saw a few landmarks from the show. Cool stuff. Okay. Prove you guys wrong and get myself a big family with more kids than Michael Douglas. Just kidding, lol. Yeah, I don't know. That might not be the best choice for you or the potential spawn, Slinky. I hated iCarly when they brought in One Direction. I just hated iCarly. But, you know, I watched it because 8th wanted me to watch it with him, so I watched it. The only one that really cracked me up was when they broke into Not Disney to find Not Disney's frozen head. That's the only one that made me laugh. because the fact that I used to work for Disney, and even people that worked there would tell the whole urban legend about supposedly Disney being frozen under the Magic Kingdom. Another $2 from Living Legend. Thank you, sir. I'll give you another dollar bill. What's your favorite level and boss from Astrobot? I haven't beat it yet. I think the last boss that I beat was the Chameleon. I think that was the last one I did. So far, I mean, I've done some mini bosses, like I did the Genie, and I did the little angry floating computer head or whatever it was. But I haven't gotten to the bird yet. I haven't done the bird yet. But so far, the ones I fought, probably the snake was probably my favorite one. Well, I already talked, 8th, about the fact that, compared to the price of comparably powered GPUs, it's a good deal. It's simply the fact that the potential that it has power-wise doesn't do enough for me to warrant an $800 purchase, since there's going to be like 50 games that support it when it comes out, and most of those I have already beaten or played. And you see, I still remember the PS4 Pro and how we bought that, and how many games we had in the PS4 library that saw no boost from PS4 Pro at all. And I'm just afraid that that's going to happen with this one again. Seventh, any general advice on job interviews? I got one this Tuesday. Don't believe that whole BS about be yourself, because no one cares about that. No one cares about you coming in and being yourself. What they want to know is whether or not you have the tools and the right mindset to get the job done. Don't be too revealing as far as like, when they start asking you personal questions about your hobbies, your interests, and whatnot. Don't be overly revealing. Don't share too much, because they don't want someone who's going to have, as they would like to say, an excess of personality. Be cordial, be friendly, but be professional. As long as Bob Iger's in charge of Disney, I don't see the company recovering anytime soon. Yeah, they're kind of stuck in that situation. The Genie boss, when you fight him the second time, is probably my top. So far, I've only fought him the one time in the middle of the tornado or whatever. What's the highest number of views you ever got on a 7thCast? I'm not sure. I know the highest amount of donations I ever got in one night was like $460, I think. That ended up being like an 8 or 9 hour stream that night. How often do you watch TV? Well, I watch shows and movies every day, but I mostly watch YouTube more than anything else. I got 4 commercials that I like that became a series of commercials that I hope will bring you nostalgia. Geico Caveman, didn't think they were all that funny. Flu and the Progressive Crew, not familiar with that one. Mr. Mayhem from Allstate, not familiar with that one. Mac versus PC, those I remember. But, I'm old enough to where I remember older commercial memes like, Where's the Beef? Ronald McDonald in McDonald Land, and the Christmas Hills midget for Hills department store. Hills is where the toys are. I remember like old stuff. Well, old compared to you, not necessarily old from my generation, but. Would you be willing to give The Walking Dead a second chance and try? No. Season 2 was terrible. It was boring and dull and sucked ass, and I have no interest in going back to it. None. None. No. I don't believe in double dipping in lame. Ugh. My neck is feeling it tonight, lads. $36 away. $36 short of extending by an hour. Thoughts on the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie from 2001. I didn't hate it as much as other people did. You know, yes, Mark Wahlberg was a little wooden, but that's true of everything that he's in. The makeup effects were, for the time, were fantastic. I thought the makeup was very, very well done. I think it was proof that you didn't really need to do CG to do an Apes movie. I did not care for its particular version of the twist ending. Didn't like that too much. Like the windmills we have here in Denmark and Holland. Yeah, I was making a connection between the windmills in Holland, your medical condition, and the story of Don Quixote. If you're not familiar with Don Quixote, then you might have a problem with what I said about windmills. You might have a hard time grasping the joke that I was making. See, that's how you do it, clean frame, but I still have the potential of failing there if, because of cultural differences, Slinky is not familiar with the story of Don Quixote. General Thade versus Caesar. I don't know about that. I think General Thade was more bloodthirsty. I can't buy Space Marine 2 because it's sold out for PS5. 8th played it on PC. A friend of his dad bought it for him so the two of them could play it together. Seventh, time to make some chili cheese hot links. Well, you go do that, Tokes. You go do that, and I hope you enjoy them. Did you tell Ultra Steel how much you missed him last week? I told him it was weird for him to pay for me an extra hour and then not show up for it. Who is Don Quixote? Isn't that a clothing store? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I weep for the generations. I weep for the generations. I'm not going to sit here and explain the Don Quixote story. Just go look it up. Wow. Remember John Doe. Well, the main John Doe that I remember was the lead singer of X, who ended up being an actor in a few movies during the 80s. Seventh, I have a story to share. One time my buddies and I were at a nerd thrift store, and there was this dude cosplaying as an Assassin's Creed character and literally sneaked up on people, especially women, and pretended to subdue them like in the games. That's assault. That's assault. Wow. Thoughts on the Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes? I think Dawn is my favorite of the trilogy. They're all right. I think Eighth likes them a little bit more than I do. I took him to see the newest one at the theater, and, it was perfectly enjoyable for what it was. I've just never been a big fan of the whole, CG monkey thing. Anyway, one time I snuck up on that guy and scared him, and I freaked him out. Well, all right. Karma akimbo. My neck's stiff. I got a stiff neck. And tonight I'm watching this. I'm going to watch that. It'll be the first time I've watched it in a long time. In such a long time. And maybe I'll play a little bit of Devil Engine here. This side-scrolling shmup that kind of gave me Thunder Force vibes when I watched the trailer for it, and so I bought it sight unseen without bothering to read the reviews. It was cheap. Certainly cheaper than the American version limited run put out. And so I shall give this one a go, because I always like me a good side-scrolling shmup. Better than the vertical ones anyway. I mean, I'm alright at the vertical ones, but I'm better at the side-scrolling ones. I came up when some of those could be really challenging, like the Thunder Force series, Hellfire, Whip Rush, Gaiaris was a particularly challenging one. Although I don't think Gaiaris was as hard as Hellfire was. And of course, Gradius and R-Type and that kind of thing. Wings of War. Life Force. Gradius. I could go on. Did you like the Red Dawn remake? No, I did not like that at all. Did you like the Whiplash movie? It was okay. It was alright. I didn't think it was some magnum opus like other people have seemed to take it. It was okay. It was a decent movie. I haven't really felt any need to watch it a second time. There looks to be a download code for it for something. I don't know what. I shall check that out later. Here's what the box looks like, in case y'all are curious. Devil Engine. As you can see up there, this is the Japanese version. And PS5 is region free, so I shall check this out. I think they've been region free since the PS3, which I think was a good choice. Seventh, do you feel that the main theme of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie didn't feel Spidey and felt more fitting for Superman? I haven't been a big fan, really, of any of the Spider-Man movie music. I think the Tim Burton trilogy, it sounded too much like the Batman films because it was, Danny Elfman. And the music in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 did indeed sound more like Superman than Spider-Man. So I don't think they've gotten it right with any of them. Let me test your gaming knowledge, sir. Do you know the game Giant Citizen Kabuto? The name is familiar. I don't think I own it. And I'm not sure that I ever played it, but, I've seen the name of it, definitely. I just can't remember what it was. I already saw Beetlejuice, Nicholas. It was pretty good. I liked it. I talked about it last week on the 7thCast. Me and 8th went to see it, and believe it or not, at the time, and it's probably still so, he and I kind of agreed that there was definitely elements of it that we liked better than the original film. So, for us, it was definitely worth a watch. Liked it a lot. Now I can't remember whether I've actually played Giant Citizen Kabuto or not. I know I don't own it, but I can't remember now if I've played it or not, so I'm going to have to go look it up to refresh my 50-year-old memory. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember this. No, I never owned it. I do believe I did rent it once or twice for PS2, but I never actually owned it because I didn't like it that much when I did play it. Yeah, yeah. It was made by some of the same folks that did like MDK for Shiny Entertainment, and yeah, I remember it, but I didn't like it well enough to ever sit down and buy it. Yes, I liked the original Red Dawn. Out of a lot of the 80s movies I've seen, I don't think it's aged particularly well, but I did like it. Why did Microsoft lay off a bunch of employees again? Well, this time it wasn't actually developers. It was a bunch of support staff and middle management, which, when a company's looking to clear up some capital, two places that you'll see get hit is technical support and middle management, because neither of them really generate any revenue. Their job is to preserve the revenue that's already there. And so when there's something going on where some financial adjustments need to be made, you'll almost always see it come out of tech support, like help desk, and middle management. Those will be the first two to get hit. Is the 20-year sequel after the first the new norm? I just think they're looking for something to make money in a lot of cases. In the case of Tim Burton, his last several movies have been licensed flops for the most part, and so I'm sure he was trying to do something that was a safe bet that he could have full control over and get back that kind of Tim Burton vibe and get away, get himself out of the rut that he'd put himself in. I'm sure that was the point, and it worked for him. Thoughts on Slither by James Gunn. I like Slither. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. A lot of my goodwill for Elizabeth Banks is gone because of that god-awful remake of Charlie's Angels that she did. Holy crap. Sup, 7th, from Sage J. Hello, Sage J. How's it going, sir? We've got about 30 minutes left, and we're still $36 short of extending by 1 hour. So far, it's not looking like it's going to happen, so get your questions in while you can. Good, good. Well, good. Did you like Snakes on a Plane? It was fine watching it once. I've never gone back to rewatch it. I didn't feel the need to. It felt like a decent direct-to-video movie. So he manages to have a kid, and now, instead of being stranded, that makes him a sage. Oh, you're not Stranded Jay then. You're a different Jay. Yeah, Stranded Jay just had a kid. You're a different Jay. Which Jay are you? I thought you were Stranded Jay and you changed your name. I would show you a picture of Stranded Jay. I've got one around here somewhere, but I don't know precisely where it is. I've got a little Polaroid of him somewhere that he sent me, but I don't know exactly where it is. He's a ginger with no soul. Anyway, let's see here. Did you like the Titanic movie? Yeah, it was all right. I think I saw it twice at the theater. Both were dates. Thoughts on Joel Schumacher, Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies. It's a shame we'll probably never see the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. Yeah, but you know, even Batman Forever wasn't great. It still leaned too far into the Adam West camp for my taste. And then he went overboard with it with Batman and Robin because he mistakenly and the production company mistakenly thought that the camp was what made the third one successful, and it was not. I think really mostly it was people that were showing up to watch Jim Carrey as the Riddler more than anything else. Yeah, I should have known because Stranded Jay usually doesn't stay around long. He was here last week, and he was in for maybe a few minutes, and then he was out. He came in long enough to tip $5, and then he bailed. He's got that new baby, so he can't be sitting around listening to an old guy talk about games like me. Did you like the iRobot film with Will Smith? It was all right. It was okay. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. I'm going back to the PS5 Pro situation. Why in the hell would I pay? Why would I buy a PC that costs $700? If I'm aiming for a PC over $1,000 to have decent to good experience. Did you see Twitter lose its mind with this? Yeah, they're still arguing about it now. People are still arguing about it now. I'm not saying that it's a bad system for the price, for the pure specs. I'm just saying that a buttload of the studios are not going to take advantage of it. And so it's going to be a power boost that for the most part you will not see. Just like with the PS4 Pro. And so I currently don't see a financial upside to me spending $800 on it right now. Especially since most of the games that do have enhanced versions coming are games that I've already played. By the way, if you haven't liked the stream yet, go ahead and click on like, throw me a like on there. I'd appreciate you. This is the end of physical games. PS5 Pro proves it. Not enough games to warrant a PS5 Pro. Certainly not enough first-party games. I think there's been plenty of third-party games that could benefit from it, but again, so many of those will be games that I have already played and have no need to go back and play them. I replay a lot of nostalgic stuff, but it's very rare nowadays for me to play through a game where I feel it was good enough that I'm going to go back and play it again and again and again. It's very rare compared to when I was a kid. I can sit down and still play Super Mario Brothers 2. I can sit down and have fun with Bionic Commando, Ninja Gaiden, the Mega Man games. Yeah, but there's a lot of games from the PS3, PS4, and this current era that once I beat it, I'm never touching it again. It's just going to go on the shelf and be listed in my collection, and that's it. That's one of the reasons why I'm currently feeling like collecting for modern systems is living on borrowed time with me. That I have a strong sense that with this next console generation, I might very well be just skipping out and just focusing solely on retro collecting. Batman Forever versus Superman. Oh, Batman Forever. Superman 3 is awful. Absolutely awful. Still not as bad as Superman 4, but it's bad. 7th on the job interview, how open should I be about my job history? Because I only worked for one job from 2015 to 2017 and went to college from 2013 to... You went to college for 9 years? You went to college for 9 years and don't have a job to show for it? How the hell did that happen? You're making me think of Charles DeMar in Better Off Dead. Lane, I've been going to this school for 7 years. I'm no dummy. What happened there? 9 years? What'd you do? Did you get an MD in gynecology and then on your first patient mistaken her pooper for a poker? I mean, what happened? I don't get that. But no, you don't want to try to hide your job experience because they're going to ask you about it anyway. They will ask you, why do you have this huge gap? You're going to have to explain it. You can't play dumb about it. You can't avoid it. They are going to ask you. Just like I was like, 9 years? They're going to wonder about that, dude. Wish me luck. I just made a profile on Tinder. Slinky is a family man. Oh, God. Oh, what did I inspire? 8th, I didn't have enough room to put the quotation marks I was speaking about when I was going on with Twitter. Sorry, Mr. Okay. Super Nintendo PS3 games collecting from now on. Batman and Robin versus Batman and Robin. I'd rather sit through that than Superman 4. Superman 4 is like Puma. That's like Puma Man level bad. If you've never seen Puma Man, I invite you to suffer it. Bro was trying to get his double masters. I don't know what dude was doing. I have an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. I did that in 3.5 years. I don't know what the hell you do for 9. Good God. We need Richard for another hour. Richard hasn't been here all night. But we're getting close. We're getting close to the 15-minute mark, and we're still $36 short. I mean, there's 16 of you left. Even if each one of you donated $2, that's still going to get us short of the mark. I want my $2. Anyway. When physical games die, I'm going to PC. The only reason I haven't is because of physical games. Once it's gone, there's no reason not. Yeah, pretty much. At that point, I might as well just, run an HDMI from my PC to my TV and run Steam in full screen mode. at that point. If physical games die, what's the point of doing console anymore? Main reason not would be ease of use. A lot of games coming to PC run fine on consoles, and they launch with a bunch of issues on PC. True. But a lot of games launch with problems on console too. Crashes and glitches and falling through the floor and all that kind of crap. I donated $10 but didn't see any animation. I distinctly remember doing it for you. I said, "Here, Slinky, have a dollar bill." If you have a strong rig and a base PS5, I see no reason of buying the marginal spec Pro because all I play on PS5 are exclusives, and the X-Plats I play on PC. Sony exclusives look great in performance mode. Yeah. You see, I use my PS5 for everything. Except, of course, for playing retro, which is either original console or Polymega over here. I need to follow up and find out when the 2600 and 7800 module is coming out for Polymega. I need to look into that. I haven't been on their site in a while. I need to get the light guns for it too. Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft will make their own PC version of gaming. That's what they already are. The consoles have been dumbed down PCs since the PS4 generation. And you could practically say that, for the most part, about the PS3 360 generation, because that's when they started doing the software patches and everything. It's just, I hesitate to include it simply because of how overly complicated the cell architecture was compared to anything that was in your standard PC at the time. So at first, in my early years, I was a slob. I didn't start getting serious until 2015-ish. I was an art major and recently was trying to find a job, but I have to get through stupid internships. Art degrees are a crapshoot, man. You're either going to make it or you aren't. That was the whole reason why my dad discouraged me from pursuing a literary career. He's like, do writing as a hobby, pick something else that's a sure bet. Go with computers. And that's why, there haven't been tremendously long periods of time where I've been unemployed. I'm usually able to find somewhere to go when the need arises. No, I didn't mean $1 bill. I meant the guy waving. Oh, that whether you get the guy waving or not, it's because I haven't been able to get OBS to properly work with that. If someone gets the little waving guy, that usually means that there's two different ways that people can donate. They can donate through Super Chat or they can donate through Streamlabs. Streamlabs is preferred because YouTube doesn't take 30% of it, and I don't have to wait a month to get it. When you donate to Streamlabs, I get it that day, and I get 99% of it. But I haven't been able to get it to work right with the little waving guy. Only the Super Chats do that for some reason. I don't know why. It's just, they're both set up the same way, but for one reason it only works with one and not the other. I worked in late 2015-ish to 2017, was still going to school, was a full-time student, and the stuff with COVID was not helpful. Understood. Your prediction to a subscription-only future is coming closer and closer. I know, and I hate it. I hate it. Sometimes nowadays it feels like it's almost not worth it to try to get a collegiate level career. I have friends that work as electricians that didn't go to college for that. They had a uh, apprenticeship, working welding. I have friends that work for the railroad, and they all make a comparative salary to me or more. No college degree there. So it's a weird time we live in. Used to, if you wanted to be able to make six figures, you're going to college. But nowadays, it's not so much that. But I mean, down in the South, you could always run into guys that were like that way, way upper echelon of middle class that were, breaking six figures, that were contractors or plumbers and stuff like that. They ran their own business, and so they made, they could make that kind of profit off of that kind of career. Independent contractors. So, there's always been some element of that, but nowadays it feels like that's more prevalent, that, you can go get yourself an apprenticeship and a career, and in a short amount of time be making as much as I make out of a 24-year career or more. I mean, I will say this. The next step up for me in the company that I'm currently working for, the next logical step as far as my career path there goes, would be out of technical and into management, which would bump me up into like the 110 to 130 range. The question is how long I'd have to wait for that to be a possibility. Yeah, like here's an example. Uh, there's an application out there called that a lot of companies use called Salesforce. There is an actual online learning lab that you can do for free that teaches you how to code in Salesforce, and then to you can pay to take the certification exam to become a certified Salesforce administrator. And entry level on that is like 85 to 90 grand a year. You don't need a college degree for that. You just got to go and find that free class, take it, pay for the exam, pass it, and then just put yourself out there as a Salesforce administrator. That said, I think working on the railroad is much harder than IT work, wouldn't you think? Well, it depends on what aspect of railroad work you're doing. I have friends that are conductors. I don't know about the other. I'm not as familiar about the other positions with the railroad. Do you think it's possible that the Nintendo will price the Super Switch at $500? I have no idea. For real, if I'd known how long it would have taken me to get a degree, I rather would have just focused on job experience, work experience. Yeah, well. Yeah, a lot of times, especially nowadays, Ultra Steel, depending on the career you're trying to get into, degrees are just a piece of paper if you don't have any actual on-the-job experience backing it up, proving that you know how to do it. Because it's pretty easy to make it through a college degree purely on short-term memory and then walk out with a degree but not knowing a single thing about how to do what your degree is in. It's absolutely possible. People will fake their way into a prescription for Ritalin, and they'll just sit there and cram, take their tests, take their exams, pass their exams, get their degree, and then the short-term memory fades, and they don't remember a damn thing. They just learned it long enough to pass the course. And here they go walking out into the job market, don't know how to do jack. I've seen it time and time again. But, there are some things that people concerned about AI and robotics and whatnot, there's some things that are going to be either very far off or highly unlikely to ever be replaced by AI, that don't require necessarily a college degree. You've got policemen, firemen, construction workers, plumbers, electricians, welders, the railroad. Although, I do foresee a point where eventually, the trains will be fully automated. Jobs were, and that there, there's always going to be a need. They're always looking for more people. Now, one market that's always a guaranteed need, but, it's a very small market, is morticians. There's always a need for them, but you don't tend to have a funeral home on every block, Are you going to make a sandwich after the 7th cast? No, I am not. I am not. I'm probably just going to watch my movie, my One Crazy Summer, and then go to bed. Because like I said, I haven't felt my best today. I'd stick around for another hour if we hit the mark, but it doesn't look like we're going to. We got 10 minutes left, and we're $36 short. I got another one for you, Ultra Steel. I've been working in computers in the IT field for 24 or 25 years, somewhere around in there. I've never had to use, in the function of my career, anything higher than like pre-algebra at most. Certainly never had to use trigonometry or algebra 2. Use a little bit of statistics, but, never had to know anything about calculus or anything. It's all been mostly basic math. Addition, division, multiplication, subtraction. A little bit of formula work, but for the most part, just basic math gets you through. So there's a lot of courses that I had to take in the course of my college career that haven't really done me any good. That's very true. We are down to the last 8 minutes. 8 minutes. I do not think you're going to see a last-minute Richard arrival to save the day, folks. Seventh is also an expert in training. I didn't say that. I went to trade school for music recording engineer. Years later, started a record label, converted it into animation films. Oh, my neck. I do not think it's going to happen tonight, guys. That's okay. Not every night has to be an extended night. That's pretty much the math you need for most programming, unless you write very low-level software for engines. I don't even get that much into programming, to be perfectly honest with you. At the most, I do some SQL scripting. Is about as close to programming as I get right now. Right now, I'm mostly just the guy that puts out fires when something breaks. You know, we've got some big financial app, and all of a sudden, something goes wrong with the app, and nobody can get in to process their payroll for their workers and whatnot. Yeah, that's when they call my team, and we go in there to assist in getting it fixed. Whether that be something that we can fix ourselves or something that we have to correlate with other teams and work together to get it fixed, that's what we do. I'm on a team of like 5 or 6 people, and I'm the most senior person on the team. Yeah. Yep. My title is not a team lead, but that's pretty much the function that I perform for that team. And I do it all from home. I used to go in every day and work in the office, but then COVID happened, and they sent us all home with laptops. And they liked my productivity level so well that they just gave me the option of staying at home. And then eventually they ended up repurposing the office space that we did have for other things. So, they just sent everybody for that division home and are working from home because it's saving them money from having to rent out additional space. And that's also what allowed me to buy this house, because this house is technically 60 miles away from the closest office. But I'm in a position now where I could have chosen to go anywhere. I could have moved back to Tennessee. I could have moved to Florida. I could have moved anywhere. As long as it was somewhere that had a fast internet connection, that's all that would have mattered. Because we have locations all across the country, from California to the East Coast. We're everywhere. We are sizable. We're coast to coast in the United States. We're in Canada. We're in Europe. We're even in Ukraine. We are everywhere. Well, we haven't really cracked the Asian market because, Asian markets are kind of xenophobic, especially Japan and China. I think we have some business in South America, and I think maybe we have some business in Africa and Australia, but I'm not 100% on that. Primarily, it's the United States, Canada, and Europe. Primarily. Is your job hiring? No, not right now. Not right now. Right now, we're at maximum capacity. We're hitting all of our numbers. We don't need anybody additional. With the job of the lead character in Office Space, explain your job. No, because I still do actual technical work. I get my hands dirty. I'm not a manager. I'm just the guy that's been around the longest on the team that I'm on. I have lots of skills, Shadow Deist. I'm not worried about starting my own business. I'm not that far off from retirement age. That is, of course, depending on whether or not I actually live long enough to reach retirement age. Anyway, we have 2 minutes left and we're still $34 short. Oh, $36 short. My bad. 36. We're still $36 short with 2 minutes left. I don't think it's happening tonight yet. Nope. I don't think it's happening, lads. It's not going to go down tonight. And Rain was in here just long enough to say hello, and then she just kind of vanished. I don't know if she's fully aware of the fact that she's one of the few females that actually shows up for this show. And even so, it's only every few months now. She used to be in here almost every night, like Titanfall Princess was. Not so much anymore. Maybe the gray scares them away. I don't know. What type of skills do you possess? Oh, all sorts of things. I wasn't always an IT guy, you know. My dream job was to become a pastry chef. Didn't happen, but that's life. Whatever, I'm still alive. Very much true. I wanted to be an author. Didn't work out. I wanted to write books for a living. That's all I wanted to do. You will live forever. Your videos ensure that. That's no guarantee of anything. When was the last time you went to MySpace? Same thing could happen to YouTube. But we'll see. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We're $36 short. We didn't reach the goal tonight, despite having a nice-sized audience for most of it, compared to how we usually have. But that's okay. I'm happy everybody came. I hope you had a good time. I hope you were entertained. But this is where we're going to have to cut things off. And I will be back next week. And so be thinking about what you want to ask. And same 7th time, same 7th channel.